And thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you in one of our SLG meetups. You definitely have done such an incredible job when it comes to the lighting industry. And there is nothing more exciting than to bring magic into homes and spaces through light. Matthew McCormick, studio based in Vancouver, Canada, founded in 2013, lots of successes in between, a lot of hard work. But tell us a little bit about your story, who you are, and what are you guys currently working on?
Absolutely. So for myself, obviously Matthew McCormick, I own Matthew McCormick Studio. We produce and design high-end decorative light fixtures. We have a standard line of product that we manufacture in global places around the world and distribute around the world as well as we do a very limited run of bespoke projects. That's a little bit of where we've come from. And the genesis of us was in custom. So working together with interior designers and architects to build very site-specific pieces that felt very cohesive in the space. And so as the story goes, I know from the very humble beginnings of I was in a different career altogether. I was working as an art director in-house for an ad agency, and then buying my first place, designing my own lights. The right person saw it. But, hey, would you be willing to do a restaurant? Then all of a sudden I'm starting to do restaurants, leave the comforts of my old career and start working on lighting. And
That's amazing.
It just took off.
Wow. Well, I mean, it definitely shows off. I mean, what you've been doing, some of the projects that you've done are phenomenal. Now, tell us a little bit about the current projects that you guys have going on. Are you specific working on commercial, homes? What are some of the projects that you focus on?
That's a great question. So again, in the early stages of the business and of the company, it was very much bespoke. So there's a lot of commercial projects. So when we're talking about, there's some installations that we've done that were 30 feet wide by 60 feet long and weighing 3,000 pounds and taking two 18-wheelers to drive it across the country. You just can't go to your local lighting store and buy that.
Yeah.
But inherently in doing that, people were able to say, hey, I love what you've done over there. Can I get something a little bit smaller? Can I get in this finish? And before long, we realized, oh, we have a product line on our hands. And so we've been able to leverage a lot of our custom know-how into building standardized product. And so we diversified. We have two different ends of the spectrum. But the great thing with us is we're able to then leverage even our standardized product. We're able to then make it to measure. So if someone wanted, say, a Cascadia chandelier that suspended, 5 stories or 10 stories, we can do it, even though some of our standard ones sit around 10 feet. And this would be the same thing with a lot of our products. We're able to make them to measure. And so there has been a bit of a transition. I would probably say it's evenly split. It was definitely heavier at the beginning in the commercial end of things, for sure. But getting into residential has definitely, it's definitely not eaten into that, but it's a nice diversification and a nice way of working with homeowners. And most of the people who we're working with have, these just grand homes or villas, if you will. And so we're able to really kind of put the cherry on top for a lot of these projects.
I think that lighting also transforms into your mood, so having somebody like yourself working on those projects in the residential area, that, makes a big impact in people's lives.
I would say so. I've been very fortunate to work with some incredible clients. I remember one of them once said to me too, you do these great magic pieces. And similarly, he used the example of called like a Gucci suit. Everyone wants a Gucci suit, but they can't maybe afford the Gucci suit. So they might just buy a brooch. And so, but they can still take a little bit of that magic with them. So we've been very fortunate about, again, taking some of these big high profile projects and then inherently sometimes they become products.
No, that's really good. Now you're obviously based in Vancouver, Canada. Is it a specific area that you specialize on?
And what do you mean? Like in
In
terms of
terms
fabrication?
of where is your demand? Is it coming strategically there, or you also do projects in the US, internationally?
Well, I think, when we first started off, especially when we started moving into retail, we did have a very discerning global sales strategy. We did open up Europe first. I didn't believe at first until started seeing it for myself that sometimes North America can be a little bit late to the dance, so to speak. And so, if with place in Europe, let's face it, they're steep in history, art, and culture, and design. And so, I know even for myself, I look to, them, or that area of the world, to what's hot new next. And but not only that, but their legacy of craftsmanship and artisanship.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, we're able to leverage a lot of the cachet of being presented there and represented by companies or people like Roseanne Orlandi, being able to do projects like at the Victoria Albert Museum in London. And then people will start to discover us from North America and be like, oh, this guy's in our backyard. Mm-hmm. And so we've been very, very fortunate, but that was a little bit by design. To really open up that market first, and then move to North America. So there's a real focus now on North America, and there's a lot of exciting stuff, a lot of exciting projects. And so in working together with our neighbors to the south, or even some of the projects we have going on here, I can, even for ourselves, moving into more commercially viable products, where we're working now with retailers. Even in our Vancouver market, there's, it's just kind of how it goes sometimes in the industry. If you want to be, there may be 3 or 4 major players in a city. And if with one, you can't be with the rest of them, you kind of have to figure out who you want to play ball with, because everyone will have want their inherent exclusivity or actual exclusivity. So when it came to Vancouver, we decided that we were very intentionally going to set up our own showroom. And so we're very excited. We're probably about 3 weeks out from opening up the showroom, but that's been a real focus of ours over the past couple months, to really be able to service, especially our local market. It's great to be able to see, touch, and feel our product, but also to have it in the atmosphere that we have heavily curated and really get the most accurate Matthew McCormick touch factor, if you will. Like you'll really get a sense of how we envision our product. So we're really excited about that.
Good. No, that sounds exciting, Matthew. Now let me ask you, because you obviously have seen the lighting industry changing over the years. So what are some of the current trends that you see when it comes to, and let's focus, let's say, on residential for a second. What are some of the trends that you see on people saying, hey, listen, I want this type of light, design, installation? Like, what are some of the things that you see?
Well, again, with our products, they tend to be very decorative, but leveraging a lot of our expertise from the commercial end of things. So it depends on how technical you want to get here. But when I'm working in a commercial project, where if I had this 3,000-pound chandelier that kind of encompassed or blanketed an entire dining room, we have to take into consider many different things. As far as the color rendering index, the lumen output, how well does it dim? Can it dim down to nearly nothing to create this ambient mood? So there's a lot of, and making sure that your food is rendering properly, right? If you have, we all know what we look like under ugly lights. The last thing you want to do is have your steak look green versus, pinky or red. And so it's very important to make sure you've got proper color accuracy and light accuracy. And so when we leverage that when we start taking a look at our decorative products. Our decorative lighting, for the most part, is really just the glitter most of the time, and it's layered in through task lighting and other architectural lighting, and these are just illuminated art, if you will. And we really do try to make our work technically beautiful. So it's beautiful, but when it comes down to a lot of these kind of more technical features, we really make sure that we get best in class. But as far as some of the other trends that we see a lot, There's a lot of, especially with new builds, moving to 0 to 10 dimming. And again, it depends on what you're asking for trend-wise. There's a lot of technical trends with home automation. Everyone who's got an iPhone has a built-in HomeKit now. So if you have Wi-Fi enabled plugs or switches, you don't necessarily have to invest tens of thousands of dollars on home automation. Now, as soon as you get home, your lights can set up in a certain way. You can create scenes for if you want, I know even in my own home, I've got chill mode. And so certain lights turn off, everything kind of dims down, or, before I'm walking out of the house with the 2 kids or what have you, it's a quick boom, turn everything off. So there's a lot of trends getting into the automation or smart devices, if you will. Mm-hmm. It's been really, really popular. But again, it's making sure that your home is set up for it as well. With a lot of these new commercial products, they're really plug and play. As long as you've got a Wi-Fi connection or a Bluetooth connection, they'll typically work. But again, setting up your home for things like 0 to 10 or working with dim to warm lamping, I think is another really big popular one that a lot of people see with LEDs. Typically, when they dim, they just get less and less bright. But much to their cousins of incandescent bulbs, when you dim them down, they get warmer, warmer. Mm-hmm. And you're seeing a lot of LEDs mimicking that technology, and it's just something that people really have come accustomed to. And so there's been a trend in that as well.
Got it. No, very interesting. I mean, that's
from the technical side.
There's a whole world there. I always have the same curiosity when people choose white lights versus yellow. That color. So, what's your favorite? What would you choose?
Well, most people, there's quite the spectrum. Most people, it's measured in Kelvin, and so 2,700 Kelvin is what typical incandescent bulbs are, anywhere from basically 24 to 27. And so most companies run around a 27 to maybe up to 3,000. When you start moving up past that, it starts going from yellow to white to even blue.
Got it.
And so it really depends on what you're using it for.
Now, Matthew, there is always a question that I ask to our guests, and you obviously have a really interesting background, so I would like to know your answer. What really is luxury to you?
Luxury to me, it's more, I'd probably say it's not necessarily an object. It's, I think, doing what you want, when you want, with who you want. And I think when it comes to products, it's the same sort of thing, where there's no compromise. It's mm-hmm. getting exactly what you want, the way you want it to look. Money can come and go, but time is very finite. And so to be able to do what you want with whoever you want is a luxury in itself.
Now, I know that you also have some things going on, so I don't want to take too much of your time, but last question. What will be some of the takeaways that you will recommend anybody that is looking to start this new project when it comes to lighting? Like, what's the first step that you recommend?
First step is always get ahead of it. If a lot of times, oftentimes, we'll deal with interior designers or architects, or good ones. This isn't a problem, but for the most part, oftentimes the lighting usually is considered at the end after the budget for the furniture is already gone, and the house, the renovations that probably went through the roof. It's important to get ahead of it and working together with your client to understand where they put their emphasis on, or what can provide the most impact. Mm-hmm. So,
look, everybody that is tuning in and also that will watch this after or listen to it, I want to make sure that you guys follow Matthew and his studio, because everything that they're doing is phenomenal. Obviously, expert right there in the field. So I'm sure that anybody that has questions can approach you directly.
Absolutely. Hit us up on our directly. DM us if you have any questions. We'd be happy to help you.
Matthew, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. You've been incredible as always, and I wish you all the best. Let us know once you're here in Miami. Maybe we can set up a meeting with Gustavo.
Yeah, that would be great. Love that guy. Excellent. Well, I do appreciate your time. I thank everyone for joining in today on this live. It was my first. It's great to get this under my belt. So it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, and we'll see you soon.